In most states of Australia, if you're homeless and desperate and decide to beg for money, then you're also a criminal. It's something we should talk about. You mightn't believe it, but it's illegal to beg across Australia except for Western Australia, New South Wales and the ACT. And here's why. It's argued that people who beg generally do so to support a drug habit. Therefore, giving beggars money has the potential to be fatal. And finally, begging is seen as a short-term solution to poverty and as such encourages a cycle of homelessness and drug addiction.
Begging is broadly illegal for a number of reasons. Vagrancy, as it used to be, was punishable. In reality, what it meant was that people who were indigent and poor could be taken off the streets and effectively be fed.
It's also argued that the money society gives to beggars would be better spent on homelessness services. But here is the problem. We're actually giving those services less money as a matter of government policy. Joe Hockey's now infamous 2014 budget slashed $70 million from community services programs, and that is despite experts telling us that almost 120,000 people had to be turned away from homelessness shelters last year. That's 329 every night, being told that they'll have to find somewhere else to sleep. And of those desperate people, 36% are escaping domestic violence.
The government keep talking about how domestic violence is a national priority, but to be a national priority, it has to also be a funding priority.
Last year, when the reduction came into effect, South Australian emergency relief agencies saw a $500,000 cut in federal funding because, I guess, right now, we just don't have the money.
Yesterday there was $3.3 million committed to find out if wind sickness exists. Do you think that's a good use of taxpayer money?
We have less money that we can give people to help with their groceries or help them pay their electricity bills.
Unfortunately, we're turning away nearly 1 in 3, and that's over 100 people a week.
As you'd expect, South Australia hit a 5-year high for police arrests or reports of begging. If those people are found guilty of begging for a few dollars, they face a $250 fine. I'm not sure where they're supposed to get that money from. And South Australia isn't unique. In Melbourne, one legal service has reported clients coming to them with $50,000 in fines for begging.
What's the point of it? It merely adds to the misery and ends up in effectively a cycle both of poverty and unfortunately incarceration.
Now, you might be asking, why don't these people go out and get a job? And it's a reasonable question with an unfortunate answer. The unemployment rate around the country varies, but the latest figures show that it's at its worst in South Australia.
As unemployment continues to grow, as Holden and other companies close, there's greater pressure on existing services to try and support people who are struggling.
The truth is, I'm sure homeless people would love a 9-to-5 because it is crap being homeless in South Australia at the moment. What you're seeing here is a cop beating 2 homeless men with a baton in Adelaide in 2012. Why? Well, as it turns out, for no valid reason at all. When the magistrate took a look at this, he found that there was not even a suspicion that either man had committed an offence, and he ordered South Australia Police to pay their court costs. Last week, one of the men was offered an out-of-court settlement for the police brutality. The other one might have been offered the same, but he's gone missing. Which is not surprising, by the way, because being homeless is dangerous. Another homeless man was found last week drowned in Adelaide's River Torrens, and we still don't know who he is. Stats vary, but a rough estimate of the average life expectancy of a homeless man in Australia is about 45. Someone in Somalia will live, on average, almost a decade longer than that. Meanwhile, you might have read in the paper today that there are 90,000 homes being left vacant in the most desirable suburbs of Sydney. Nobody in them whatsoever. Just think about that level of inequality. A level that only continues to rise. So, here's a thought. Maybe the reason that we're treating homeless people this way isn't that we're worried about fueling their drug habit or prolonging their cycle of poverty. Otherwise, we wouldn't be cutting funding to the services that would address those very problems. Maybe it's the same sense of injustice in this video that makes each of us recoil that is the thing that we don't want to face. Maybe the reason we're punishing the homeless for begging us for help isn't because we object to taking some coins out of our pocket. Maybe our real objection is to the guilt that we're forced to carry away with us when their poverty is rubbed in our face.